Okay, folks, it says I am live right now. Just give me one brief moment. I'll be updating something really quick for other people. Okay, there we go. Okay, this stream I wanted to let you all know is going to be about the CDC mask mandates, and also because I forgot to do an episode this past Monday, I just wanted to let you know to make up for that. I'm also going to be doing a second part within this. So this is quite literally a two-part CDC mask mandates and also gun current registrations, lockdowns, uh, anything related to gun laws and licensings, etc., that I know of. Definitely hoping that some in the chat pop up and know quite a bit more about various different areas because I'm just in Nebraska, so I can only speak for us. Unlike huge YouTubers that have secretaries and stuff like that to look up everything, I don't exactly have that sort of money to have people literally sit at essentially my studio and basically do nothing but look up stuff all the time for me so that I can have it all laid out and sitting in front of me. So that's why these live streams are literally live. So you might see me just, hey, one sec, and I go blank for a moment. And it's because I'm actually reading stuff as I'm doing the stream. I often don't prepare these ahead of time. And so my reactions are genuinely just as surprised as some other people when you learn something new. Just to let you know, the CDC guidelines have stated that wearing two masks may help reduce your risk of getting COVID. But it's more complicated than just, hey, wear two masks. They're stating they recommend wear one medical mask that you essentially tie off the sides to so it closes up and makes it a lot closer so it seals it better to your face, and then also wear a cloth mask over that because the cloth mask only stops certain things, even though by itself they say it doesn't work. So I don't know what it's stopping, maybe dirt and debris. And then the medical mask is supposed to stop various other things. They've done a various little study where they had just the medical mask, just standardly worn, how most people are wearing it. A study where they had that, where they had twisted the sides. A study where they did the medical mask plus a tight fitting cotton mask. Various other things like that. I am going to link you to this on the live stream for those of you either now or later that pop up. If you click on or if you look at that link, as long as it stays up, it'll explain a little bit of how when you're wearing just a disposable mask and just wearing it standardly without tying off the ends or anything, it stops about 42% of cough droplets. So some still get out based on those side gaps, but it does block a bit. Although when wearing a disposable along with a cloth mask, it seems to stop 92.5% of any particles that would leave from your body. Uh, they've okay, and if you and the other person are both wearing the double mask setup, apparently it stops 96.4%. So you gain 4.1% of protection, apparently, if two people are wearing the exact same setup. I'm not personally sure how that math adds up. It seems like it would be roughly the same, or just, hey, two people wearing complete mask setups should possibly block off all of it. But I do know for sure, though, that the CDC quite a while back said wearing two masks was nowhere near needed. It was actually overkill and could cause complications and issues. And now suddenly you can't find that anywhere. And now the CDC is recommending two masks, but they're stating specifically don't use two medical grade masks. So it's almost like they're trying to retract their wording and they're trying to do stuff very carefully. I have a feeling it's because they learned some things that ended up going very bad with certain people, and so now they're trying to retract certain statements and basically cover their own ass. But as far as I know, I don't think there is a current mask mandate, at least where I live.
Yeah, there is. They extended it.
Oh, there was. Okay, so uh, there is certain places, not exactly everywhere, but there is a mask mandate. I know, like, there's a place in Nebraska, Omaha. If any of you are followers of mine and or know of the area, Omaha, Nebraska has a mandate where everywhere you go, everywhere you're walking, you have to wear a mask at all times. There is some places here in Fremont that don't care if you have a mask on or not, whereas many of them do care if you have a mask on and they want you to wear the mask until you're seated, which seems to be like a standard. You wear the mask until you get to a table, then you can take it off. Some people have gone to the extent of modifying their building, whereas others just aren't modifying the building at all. Because I've seen some people that put up giant plexiglass systems in between the seats. Some just don't do anything. Uh, as of mask mandates, let me go over. Uh, and it actually does state that as of for Nebraska at least, they do strongly recommend wearing a face covering even when you're outdoors, uh, where you're setting, where you're unable to maintain 6 feet of distance from people that you don't live with. So basically, if you were to go to a park or anything and you're jogging, any number of things that you might run into where you may or may not cross a person that you don't personally live with. If you may get within 6 feet of a person, you should be wearing a mask here, is basically what it's stating. And like I said, there are certain cities that they're a little bit more relaxed on the mask mandate. Certain ones are not relaxed. Trying to click open my participants to see who's all here because it says 3 people are in this, which one is always considered me. So there's 2 other people here, but it's not showing me on a participants list. Anyways, I digress. The mask mandates, I want your guys' opinions on whether you think we should maintain mask mandates, not maintain them. If you think wearing 2 masks is a stupid idea, a good idea. Personally, me, I don't plan to wear the 2 masks unless it becomes mandatory because honestly, it seems a little bit overkill to me. Seems like they're trying to push a slightly different agenda. I think they're trying to slowly creep in the ability to push 2 masks. And all that's doing is trying to push in a way to restrict people's breathing, therefore causing less oxygen and everything into the body. And that in itself, as any person that is halfway intelligent and knows about the body could tell you, will cause issues on its own, let alone if you become ill, sick from anything or anything like that. So if they give you this COVID-19 shot that happens to, every single one of them have issues right now, the restriction of oxygen and everything to your body could make react even worse to your body. Now, I'm not saying it will. I'm saying it could. And I think that's what they're counting on, is hopefully seeing that there will be bad reactions. Some people will die. I do thoroughly believe this is all about a population control aspect. I do think the virus is real, but I don't think that how they're handling it is actually based around we need to stop the virus itself. I do believe there's a different agenda within there. Uh, that is all I have as of right now for the mask mandates that I'm stating. If a whole bunch of people join in, I'll go back to that. I'll speak on it again and kind of reiterate on things. Uh, the other thing that I was going to talk to is gun registration and sorry about the yawning. busy day. But there are certain people that think that you quite literally, when you go into a store, you basically, whether it's a Walmart, needless to say, Walmart's a bad example because they basically don't sell guns anymore and their ammo is pretty much never in stock. Not because of the shortage, but even because they try to purposely keep it very, very low. I don't know if it's just all hidden in the back or what, but it seems like they purposely keep as minimal of anything on their floor as they can. But let's say you go to an actual store that sells guns here in Nebraska. Um, very, very few of them are going to basically have you walk in and be like, hey, well, you want a gun? Cool. Well, we got this, that. Like, none of them I know of will instantly be like, hey, here's a gun. You want to buy this? We got this. In fact, most of them will literally almost avoid selling you a gun. Uh, the ones that do sell guns all the time, 90% of the people that go to those places pretty much either A, know what they want to buy, or they know a general idea. So they might say, oh, I want a shotgun, or I want a pistol, or I'm looking for a revolver, stuff like that. And then you might have specifics like, hey, you're looking for something that holds this particular type of bullet. You're looking for one that can have accessories such as lights or whatever. You have a general idea of what you want. Now, that doesn't mean everybody. Some people do go into a gun store and, hey, I'm a first time gun buyer. I don't know anything about any of this. I'm just wanting to get a home defense weapon. What do you recommend, sort of scenario? And so you talk to them. The misconception, though, that a lot of people have is that when you walk into a gun store, you basically just go in with your credit card, your debit card, or even a stack of cash. You just walk up to the counter and you say, hey, you know what? I like that gun. Here's some cash. I need to buy that. And then they just go, well, here you go. And they scan it and they hand it to you. No, no, no. It's literally not what happens. At least not here. I'm pretty sure everywhere that is illegal to do. Even if you purchase something that's not a pistol, because pistols are a little bit more restricted. They because they are easier to conceal. They're often used in a lot more mass shootings and stuff like that. Because people think that a mass shooting is when you pull out an automatic rifle and you just start blasting away. Okay, first off, automatic rifles are illegal to own. You cannot have them without, oh God, what is that paperwork? If someone actually knows the paperwork terminology, put it over here in live chat. Live chat for you guys might be down here. I don't know. Uh, anyways, but there's a actual special paperwork you have to fill out if you want to buy a gun that has a full auto capability. Uh, like for instance, if you want I think it's called the M1 Grand. I might be wrong on that, but it's a full auto machine gun. Technically speaking, you can get it, but it's very, very, very hard to get. It's not like you walk into a store and see it. It's not even like you go online and order it. You have to first find a place that can even get a hold of one, go through a state, city, and federal background check. That there's so many fine red lines of tape that you have to go through to get something like that. That's ridiculous. I think you even have to go and get a federal firearms license, which basically at that point you can sell guns just to actually obtain that. And if you're willing to go through all that, trust me, you don't have a criminal history. You don't have any sort of psychotic breakdowns or episodes that you've ever had. You're not exactly a person that's going to go do mass shootings. So a person buying that literally doesn't care. It's probably going to sit in a cabinet, be fired every so often and all. Just keep it good. And they're going to clean it out and whatnot and put it back, take care of it. That's a responsible, good gun safety person. And when you look at Nebraska, for instance, like I said, I cannot speak for others, but when you go to buy a handgun, I'm going to look over here because that's where my screen is showing stuff. You have to. I'm sorry about that. You have to be to buy a handgun. You have to be 21 years of age or older. So you can't be a teenager or whatever. And so all these people are like, oh, these kids that are going to school, they just go out and buy guns. Oh, no, they cannot buy a handgun, period. Any person under 21 that has a handgun is already illegally getting a hold of that. So your laws, no matter what laws you pass, will never apply to those people. You have to provide your handgun certification, so, or certificate. So you have to physically go to the police station, sheriff's department, sometimes your uh, county office, whatnot. But basically, you have to have a state level background check done to you. Then you have to provide your state ID to a licensed firearm dealer and have them do what's called an instant background check. Uh, Now, don't get me wrong, it's not instant. It's not like they scan your license and bam, you get a printout that says approved or disapproved or whatever. It takes a little bit of time. Uh, but you have to have the instant background check performed by the licensed firearm dealer. So you can't like go to Joe Blow and have them fill it out for you online and then bring that paperwork in. No, no, that firearm dealer has to go through your paperwork and put it. So that's just to be able to purchase the handgun. That's not going and picking it up, etc. Because if you show any signs of, like, as an example, you walk in, you're like, man, that dude probably should have been killed. Uh, if you're saying stuff like that, they can automatically ban you from buying a pistol there for as long as they feel like, uh, because they feel you're a threat. And if they do that, they're going to contact most of the other places around them that sell weapons and tell them, hey, there's a such and such. Like they're going to list off your name, anything they can, give those details, and they're going to say, don't allow him to purchase a gun. He's probably a threat to society. Yada yada yada. Now, the thing is if you want to go and get a shotgun, that's a whole different story. You do go through a background check, but as far as I know here, uh, it's not the state level. You don't like go up to your sheriff's office and get a certificate there. What you do is you go to your firearms dealer, and as far as I'm aware, you go there, they do the instant background check again. Uh, it's basically, I don't know why they call it an instant check, because as far as I know, it's like a 5 minute process. So it's not technically instant. Instant as in it's fast. And then you also have a waiting period to get a hold of the weapon in general. Uh, but basically, you go in, you have your federal firearms license place, do a background check on you. Essentially, they're not doing it, they're sending your data to a federal officer somewhere. So the FBI is literally looking into you and going, you know what, Joe Blow last week said I'm about to shoot this school up. Oh, denied. Guess what? You can't buy a gun now. That ain't just a shotgun. That's any gun that you go to buy. You now are forbidden to have those. Uh, so your live streams, like what I do right here, that can be looked through. Your Facebooks, your Twitters, your my anything that you have. They can look through all that. Then they can look through your medical history to see if you're schizophrenic, if you often blow up at people and try and like beat the crap out of people at work or whatever. They can go through all that. And then the FBI can determine whether you are going to be stable enough to actually own a weapon. Now, people say there is literally no safety measures when it comes to buying a gun. And like I said earlier, some people thoroughly believe you walk into a gun dealership, put money on the table, and they just hand that gun over and willy nilly, hey, you're done. That's that's all you needed was money and a place that has the gun you want. And that's not true. Please, if someone is here from a place that's not Nebraska, uh, please state so in the chat because I'd like to know if you know your personal laws in your area. And if you don't, if you would look them up and then even just post them because I'm curious as to how every place does that Because, like I said, I know in Nebraska, you have to, for a handgun, you have to have yourself be 21 or older, and you have to go through both a state level and a federal level background check. And some people get all sketchy about that. They're like, oh God, they'll have my information. Trust me, the government has more information on you than what you're going to give them, anyways. Because if you're on a list and they're looking for you, oh, trust me, buying a gun is going to be the least thing to worry about because they probably already know your home address before you even fill that sheet out. Uh, well, hello there, people. I see that I got 5 people that are in the chat currently. Today was a catch up day. I forgot to do a live stream on Monday, and I was like, hey, I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow, which happened to be yesterday at this point, was so hectic. Like it went so fast for me that I quite literally lost track of time. Uh, so today I'm squeezing 2 into 1. It is mask mandates and also overall gun safety / gun laws and regulations. Another thing that people have thought is, well, there's a gun show loophole. Say you don't want to go somewhere. Well, your dad, maybe he has 20, 30 guns or whatever, and he goes to a gun show and he sets up a table there, and all you got to do is walk in and say, hey, Dad, I need a gun. And you pay your dad, and your dad just signs over the gun and hands it to you. No, again, that's illegal. They they also have to be licensed to actually sell you those guns. So they have to have background check sheets and everything there. If they don't, there's a person there that can actually check up on all that, and people will already know if you're legally able to own a gun or not. So that's what I don't understand is when people are saying we need strict gun regulations, we need to have people looked into, and mental health is a problem within the US. It's causing people to kill folks. Well, if mental health is the underlying issue, okay, Bud, 18 for long gun, 21 for handguns, background check for car apply for, 100% sure. Anything else? Honestly, Bud, I forgot where you're from. I know the name, like it's in my head. I know I used to play games with you, but I don't remember. You also from Nebraska? Oh, oh, nice. Okay, no problem. But it's always nice to have people from other states. That way they can state what they have. Yeah, if I remember right, I do believe that you can buy a shotgun or any rifle at 18 here in Nebraska. I may be wrong, so I'm not going to say I can be quoted on that exactly. But I do believe that's the same here. It's a pistol that you cannot buy here until you're 21. And that's because, oh, I should say any handgun, because if I narrow it down to just pistol, people will be like, well, a revolver is kind of not a pistol, or something will be said. so, so yeah. And yeah, as of the firearm owner's ID card, I believe we have something similar to that. It's I believe it's issued though after you're approved and given the gun. It basically says, "Hey, yeah, you're allowed to own weaponry, yada yada yada," and this gun was issued to you. So it's probably a little different than what you have. Uh, for pistols, though, we have to literally undergo state and federal licensing and whatnot. Some areas out here, I believe, even require that you go through a certain like training course, uh, and if you don't complete that within like a certain time period and within a certain like grading scale or whatever, then they have the legal rights to take that gun from you because you cannot use that gun safely. So say you're constantly like pull your pistol out and you're cocking it or whatever, and you're constantly like pulling to the side or whatever, and you're pointing at people. If you're too unsafe with it, I believe here they have the rights to pull it from you. Uh, Personally, I think they should, teach people, hey, point the goddamn thing at the ground. Like either point the barrel at the ground, or as I've heard on some YouTube videos, not sure about this, but apparently some states teach you always point the barrel into the air. I don't know why you would do that, because theoretically, if the gun goes off, the bullet heads up, and at the velocity it goes, it could probably get high enough that it can eventually come back down at a pretty high velocity, I would assume. Yep. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. It was for pistol related items, or handgun, I should say, related items. Uh, but I believe there is training you can take for what was it? It's shotgun and all assault weapon class weapons now, as they gotta put it. Uh, which that's a funny thing in general when people say, "Oh, we gotta ban automatic weapons." They've been banned for ages. Literally, the only people that can get a hold of them are like federal firearm license dealers and whatnot, and federal class weapons folks. So like people that literally have licenses well above what the average person has uh, for owning a firearm. And if you have those licenses, like I said earlier, I can guarantee you're not a person going around shooting up schools and whatnot, because it costs you too much money and too much time to get those licenses to just grab a gun and throw it all away. Uh, as for Biden's, oh, just buy a double barrel shotgun. You only need 2 shells to stop an intruder. I can assure you, if you shoot those 2 shells and that person knows, hey, all you ever carry is 2 shells, which guess what? If you pass the law and everybody can only have double barrel shotguns, for instance, if that sort of thing happens, all you got to listen to as a criminal standpoint is for 2 shells. So if you hear the bang, bang, and they shoot those, or you just poof, you hear one bang, but it's both their shells going off at the same time. However that person goes, if you can figure out that they've shot both their shells, guess what? They're empty, and now you probably have a full magazine. You're ready to go still. And so it's just stupid that he thinks that all you need is a double barrel shotgun to defend your property. Well, the Constitution wasn't written to defend just your property from your average burglar. It was made so that people can fight against the entire government. Uh, at the time, and some people say, well, the Constitution wasn't designed for people to own assault weapons, as they're stating. So, like AR-15s and yada, yada, yada. It was designed around muskets and things. Yeah, it was designed around weapons in general, because at the time, the musket was the advanced weapon. So, at the time, the people that wrote the Constitution literally were writing in essentially that the people that they are writing this for can own military weapons, because they didn't put that in there directly. But I'm pretty sure what they were trying to think of was the people, including the government, won't be stupid enough to not understand these words. But unfortunately, so much time has passed that I don't even know if schools teach the Constitution anymore, let alone teach kids what their actual rights are as a civilian here within the United States. Yeah, it's going to vary everywhere. So if you go to Australia or India or whatever, all their regulations are different. But I'm saying for here specifically, I do believe that there's. I'm trying not to be a Biden or somebody that goes completely brain dead and just literally starts talking completely different, like on a whole different subject. Uh, but trying to also maintain a focus on what exact words I want to use. And unfortunately, also trying to not yawn. Uh, Work's been kicking my butt. Not that hard, but hard enough that when I get back and I try and quickly zoom through a bunch of info and whatnot, I start getting tired. Uh, but yeah, no, the mask mandates they are talking about was wear a cloth mask that you cinch up right next to where your cheeks are, so the two sides pull together, and then put a cloth mask over it. Somehow stops 96% of the particulates. They also have stated, CDC itself has stated they don't know all that much about the B1351 strain. of it. So for all we know, masks can't even be affected by that strain. So like maybe it's so fine particulate wise that it'll just go right through masks, or maybe it can absorb through your pores. No one literally knows. Uh, but I definitely do gotta say that background checks are already done. There's some people that don't believe they are. There's some people that believe that guns are just magically purchased by walking up to a place and personally putting money on a table, no matter what it is, whether it's a gun show, a actual federally licensed firearm dealer, or your neighbor in his backyard going, "Hey buddy, got some guns," like anything like that. Legal, the legal side of stuff has everything they're trying to add. The only reason they're trying to add things into it is to restrict the amount of rights that you have, kind of like New York. God forbid I don't live in New York because I couldn't stand it there. It would be absolutely atrocious. I would literally demand left and right that the Second Amendment be seriously looked at by their legislatures. And I would go batshit crazy trying to fight for the Second Amendment there because if you're in New York, you basically can't own anything as far as I understand. And good example of gun restriction and control. Look at some aspects of New York and look at, I believe it's Chicago also, that has really, really strict gun regulations. And what do you know? Criminals in those areas still have those guns that are illegal. It's kind of like when we banned uh, having crack cocaine and meth. It's weird. There's still meth labs and still crack cocaine because the laws don't apply to the criminals. So, kind of shocks me when government thinks, hey, if we write a law, a criminal will just abide by that. There's a reason we're calling them a criminal. Like they don't care what laws you write. It's like when you tell a burglar, hey, you can't break into people's houses at night. They're gonna look at you and be like, okay, doesn't matter to me. But the only thing that all these gun restrictions and gun regulations are going to do is literally make the law abiding citizens more and more and more ready to fight back against the government and call tyranny because that's what it is. They're literally trying to make a tyrannical government that will try to overthrow its people at some point because as much as people will call me a conspiracy theorist and tell me, no, your government's not trying to do that. Look at Australia or look at this place or that place. There's a lot of people that if you talk to them in those certain places, will tell you they don't have as many rights as we have. Like, yeah, they do have rights. But when it comes to, oh, you just got to call your police department. When was the last time you had to call the police and tell them, hey, I need you here? If even if it's for something minor, the police don't get there right away. Hell, if you get into a car crash and you're fatally injured and you go, hey, I'm bleeding out, can you get here? They call an ambulance because they expect that the delay of time, by the time they get there, you're going to either have started to bleed out and they're going to have to do a transfusion, or they're going to need an ambulance in general to keep you alive. They don't just send the police officer. That's the same aspect as why citizens should never not be allowed. Like even I believe all of them be fully armed to the teeth because if a person kicks in your door, it's already too late to call the police and say, "Hey, I'm having someone breaking into my house right now. I need you here." Doesn't matter how big your house is. I guarantee, even if you have a 16 bedroom, 10 bathroom house, it's not cop. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. But yeah, that's why they call the ambulances. If you literally get into a wreck and you're like, hey, blah blah blah, I'm at this location. I just got into a car wreck. The first thing they call is an ambulance, and that gets dispatched, and then they call the cops. Like they're both on the same frequencies and everything, but they dispatch for the ambulance first uh, because they know that the cop isn't going to come there with a full trauma kit, spare blood, et cetera, et cetera. They can't help you. Anyway, they might get there and be like, "Well, buddy, I mean, pat on the back, you're gonna live, I guess." Like the ambulance will have plenty of meds and everything to keep you alive if they need to. Uh, not all the time. I'm not saying that the world's perfect. Our ambulance doesn't get there and like magically inject you with something and go, "Ta-da, you're better." But they have a far better shot at keeping you alive than what a cop does. Uh, but there are some laws and regulations that are trying to be passed that are kind of iffy. You know, like if your gun has a pistol grip on it, they are looking to try and ban that outside of pistols. So I can name, oh, not off the top of my head, but if I looked them up again, I could literally name shotguns that have pistol grips. So those would be illegal. I know many rifles that have pistol grips. Those would be illegal. They're trying to ban any gun that can, not does, but can accept a magazine over 9 rounds. So if it can hold 10 rounds, well, as far as I know, that's every single Glock right now. Uh, they are also trying to make it so that if you own a gun, any gun period, you have to pay $800 per year for a registration fee to keep it as a legalized registered gun. That's $800 per gun that you would have to pay just to keep your gun. You know, you're right as a citizen that you have to buy and own a weapon. Not only did you buy that gun, like right now, if I look at one of the shotguns I was looking at, $350 for this basic pump action shotgun. Well, now I'd have to pay $800 a year to keep that shotgun. Makes no damn sense why I would have to pay that. If I switch that over and I get the semi-auto version that I seen that holds a magazine, guess what? If that magazine holds over 9 rounds, then that's an illegal gun. Uh, if it can accommodate a magazine that holds more than 9 rounds, that would be illegal under the laws they're trying to pass. Uh, Best part about it is, even if I can fully get that legal, like it's a one of a kind magazine holder, etc., it only holds certain mags, and those mags only go up to say 5 rounds or whatever. Everything's fully legal on that gun. I'm paying $800 for the gun, and they want you to pay $200 a year also on the magazines that you own. Magazines aren't even close to that pricey. In fact, let me look up a random magazine right now. I literally am on Cabela's. All I do is they're telling me that I would have to pay more than buying a magazine every single month. That's no ammo included, just the magazine itself. I could buy a magazine every single month and still come out cheaper than what you're going to charge me per year just in a registration fee to keep that magazine. That's not gun regulation. That's they're trying to force people to be so poor when they have weapons in general that they can't afford to have much on hand. Like they can't have very many guns on hand and they can't have very many magazines on hand. Uh, Unfortunately, that's not what today is about, sir. Uh, that video got popular, and those are actually not probably coming back. Speaking of shot callers, there is actually taser systems and everything that have been looked at as a possible thing to be registered. I figured I'd throw that there because it's a shock device. So tasers and things like that, they're saying might need to be registered because it should only be a police-like item. But I do not agree with that it would be classified for police only. That's basically what New York is essentially trying to do is classify everything that's a handgun as it's only used for their military. And if it holds too many bullets, well, that's too scary and dangerous to have in New York because we have enough violence the way it is. Well, you wouldn't have violence if people could defend themselves because people are less likely to shoot at people that can shoot back. It's just statistics. If someone breaks into a house and a shot gets fired at them, they tend to leave that house. They don't want to die most of the time. Most of the time, they just want to break in and steal something. So if someone can fire back at them, they're less likely to break in. Now, the true problem that they're trying to say is it's a gun health epidemic. No, no, no. And what they're stating by that, because they even said it in their press releases, is there's too many people committing suicide with guns. So we need to get rid of the guns so people will stop committing suicide. Getting rid of the, yeah, if you heard my fiance in the background, if you get rid of the guns, that doesn't stop suicide. People can drown themselves. People, so you're going to get rid of all the water on Earth too, because I mean, then they can't drown themselves. And if you say, well, the human body will pop itself back up, you can't drown yourself. I'm sorry if you jump into a lake and have cinder blocks tied around you. I'm not saying do this, people. So by no means am I condoning this. But if someone was to jump into a lake with cinder blocks or anything like that, that weights them down and stops their body from naturally popping right back up out of the water, they could do that. So are you going to ban water? Because you would have to make sure that they can't commit suicide that way, apparently. If you say, well, okay, we've gotten rid of all the water on Earth and there's no more guns and people are still committing suicide. Well, it's probably because of the knives now. So now people can't buy steak knives or butter knives or anything like that. So now they're only selling forks and spoons. Well, then people might start stabbing themselves with a fork until they rip their veins apart or whatever and kill themselves. That wait, the problem is not the weapon, the utensil used for the weapon. It's the person's mind. There's something wrong there, which means you have to treat that problem. That is not a gun health epidemic like they're trying to say it is. That is a mental health issue. And if they spent all this campaigning money on anti-gun, on pro-health, guess what? There'd be a lot less suicides. You wouldn't have people freaking out, killing themselves just because life is getting hard for them over the fact that apparently they couldn't get a gun to kill themselves. So they killed themselves another way. There's literally no reason to ban guns besides if there's some sort of revolution that you're trying to start. That's my opinion. I'll stick to that. Uh, I've yet to meet anybody that can change my opinion on that because, like I said, many people call me a conspiracy theorist. I'm not what I consider a conspiracy theorist. I'm just a realist. I see what happens in other countries. I see it start happening here, and I call it out for what it is. And people are like, no, you're crazy. And then a few months later, and yes, this has actually happened. Like I told a healthcare professional that walked into Walmart before this whole COVID-19 got way out of control. I told her we really need to have everybody wearing masks. And I was wearing one. And she told me, you're just silly and crazy. Like there's no goddamn reason to be wearing a mask. There's nothing going on that's that bad. I'm a healthcare worker outside of Walmart. I happen to have, I think it's called DHHS out here. It's some health service that can page her on her phone if there's some sort of medical thing going around that you need to start doing, such as wearing masks, etc. And guess what happened? As y'all know, we're all supposed to wear masks now. And if I go back to me personally, basically that week when it got mandated almost everywhere, I went up to her, said, wow, guess we all got to wear masks now. And she never wanted to reply to that. She didn't want to talk again or anything. And it's because she knows damn well she was wrong and I seen shit before it happened. And right now, I'm telling y'all, a revolution could be right around the corner, just strictly based around the Biden administration and what they're trying to do with gun regulation. If they push, 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 and they push that agenda too hard, they're going to have a lot of people that are heavy, like America, gun enthusiast sort of people, that if they think the Capitol riot was bad, wait till Air Force One drops out of the sky or some crazy shit like that happens. Because I assure you that just because you have certain things doesn't have it. Like I said earlier, they made crack cocaine and meth labs illegal, and they're still out there. So I can't guarantee that there's not somebody that doesn't have some sort of makeshift A10 Warthog or something that if you piss off America too much, they're not going to be able to fly that in the air and take out any special aircraft that we're trying to use military wise to keep the civilians peaceful, as Biden probably would say. But other than that, I mean, like I said in my previous postings, I do try to keep these videos 30 minutes to an hour, not only because it needs to upload to YouTube, but on top of that, it also saves my day. So I actually get free time. Uh, does say that the majority of people have left this particular video, and I don't consider that as a bad thing. It's just people heard what they came to hear. Maybe they heard something, they were like, I disagree with it, I just don't want to chat about it. Well, I'm sorry, you seen the title, so if you didn't want to chat about it, well, you came into the wrong area. uh, but I am definitely pro Second Amendment, pro First Amendment, Ninth Amendment, all that. I definitely support the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And right now, I'm just hoping. Now, don't get me wrong. People think I hate Biden. No, I don't hate Biden. I hate his policies and things that he wants to enact. I wish him the best as a president, because wishing our president to be bad would honestly be stupid. Because if the president of your own nation does bad, that cripples your own nation. But I hope he does good for America, and I hope he turns America into an even better country. But the policies he's trying to pass and things he's trying to do does not do much promising. Uh, I don't know. I might try and go over some of those things specifically in the next live stream. So for now, we will end the stream with that and say if anybody wants to chat, leave a comment. I check all the time to see if I have any excess comments that I haven't replied to. I try to get back to as many as I can. And I look forward to speaking with you all on Friday. Hopefully, I don't sleep through that or have Friday zing by me. Y'all have a nice day, and I will see you on the next one.